What's your story? 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 46 of the Showerpodcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and we are finally back on the, let's say, the story is not based on my day. This is a story and an idea that comes from a small backlog that I'm, let's say, building up for the episodes. As much as I wish that every day was exciting enough and interesting enough to make an episode out of it, it's not necessarily the case. So, I'm building up some past ideas or let's say general stories that I like to tell you in this, let's say, smaller format that I have built with the podcast. And this is something that, the story that I'm going to tell you today is something that I've, let's say, recently rediscovered, but it's something that, again, always stuck with me, and it's something that I've, let's say, kept very close to myself. And that is the backstory of somebody that has had success. And the everlasting question, what are the reasons why that person is like that, why he's successful, and why, let's say, we respect them for what they did. Now, the obvious answer is, for the reasons you have learned, you have known him. That might be an actor, let's say a singer, a performer, or let's say whatever person you look up to. And as I was telling you, my first example, and the one that has always stuck with me, is Casey Neistat. If you are on YouTube or if you watch YouTube, let's say you might have might know him very well. He got very famous for his daily vlogs that he did in New York for more than 1 year. I don't remember, but let's say that he was one of the reference points for anybody doing vlogs. He was really unique, interactive. He kept them interesting every day. Amazing photography, videography. Like, he really mastered the way that one can tell his story through YouTube and reaching, let's say, an audience in a non-standard way. So, one can see that, one can appreciate that and stop there. But this is not the case because, a bit while he was already pretty big on YouTube, he did a very special video called Draw My Life. Again, if you are on YouTube or if you're familiar to YouTube, there was a period when this was, let's say, very common amongst YouTubers or in general. Again, people that came from nothing, have built, let's say, a persona or let's say, a character, on the internet. But this is the only thing that people knew. Let's say at the same way that you are listening to me right now, if you don't know me, you have no clue of my backstory, how I ended up doing something like this, because there are always reasons. And specifically, let's say, his story is very impressive. Specifically, the reason why he was so good at what he was doing is because he had worked on an amazing project with his brother that he sold to HBO. Let's say that what calls the Neistat brothers, which is his surname, and they sold that for 1 million. And from there, he started, let's say, he had the tools to continue doing what he was already good at. But the interesting bit is that before reaching that point, he had gone through so much stuff that, it becomes almost impossible, and it challenges yourself when you see, let's say, the level of success that he reached, the person that he is, and all the conditions, all the great conditions and attitudes that he shows, in the present, coming from such a difficult background. Specifically, I'm referring to what I still remember very vividly when I discovered that he had a child when he was barely 18. I think he was 16, 18, but let's say very, very, very young. He, let's say, didn't get along with his let's say, his partner at the time. So he had to live with this kid on basically nothing. He was, let's say, washing dishes to make to make money to buy a camera, and then to start, let's say, to continue what he felt like he needed to do to, let's say, then become the person that he was. And the amazing fact is that nowadays he has an amazing relationship with his kid. He's able to provide for him. He's going to school, and let's say he's having the life that he never had. And again, it shocks me because, we are, not most of us, but because everybody has, let's say, its background, and most of the times we all do face our problems, but we always feel like our problems are, the most important and the biggest things in the universe, because again, they are so close to us. When if we looked around and, we looked at other people that we see as now successful, they had, let's say, they struggled even more than what is happening to us. And that always, when I saw it, especially since I was definitely younger, it gave me a lot of motive, and let's say it pushed me to do more. Because, I saw his story and it felt almost incredible that he was able to go through so much and do what he did, whereas I was in the comfort of my home, studying for, my degree, and I felt like I was struggling or I was doing something difficult. Again, this is nothing to, let's say, discredit what I did, what you did, or what you're struggling with right now. It's just that we are always, let's say, we think that our problems, again, as I said before, they are bigger than they are, and that nobody can understand us because they're not going through something like that. Whereas most likely, all the people that are around you, if you got to know them better, you would understand how much they're also facing, and that it is actually my belief, and especially, let's say, in these recent years, I've came to that conclusion that even though it's unfortunate and even though it is not what we would like, it's exactly in these moments of need and of desperations where we give our best and we actually make, let's say, a concrete change in our lives. And I want to connect this to also the other story, let's say, that brought me to make this episode. And I completely forgot his name before the episode. I wanted to search it up, but let's say I forgot because, I've went with the speech. But I will just give you the background of who he is, and then you'll be able to find him. It's about this Japanese DJ that recently performed at the Boiler Room in Tokyo. Again, you might have seen the clips on Instagram, especially if you like that kind of music. And he made a hell of a performance, like he was killing it. And I was just curious and looked into his persona and discovered that he started his DJ career after he discovered that he was ill. I don't remember if it was like something with the brain, or again, it was a serious illness, and he, let's say, dropped everything that he was doing and he pursued that kind of career. Showing again how much, let's say, moments of desperation and let's say when you struggle for real and when you have no alternatives, you are actually able to do what's best for you. Whereas if you are in a comfortable position and let's say you have everything that you might need, you are scared to let that stability go. Not to say that, being stable and having everything that you feel like you need in this moment is wrong. Let's say far from it. But actually the point that I want to, let's say, get across with this episode is not so much that, again, as I told you before, I do believe that when we struggle, when we have no alternatives, when we are, let's say, desperate, we do our best. And, I'm the first that, let's say, it definitely works best under pressure. When the stakes are high, because when I can relax, let's say that I don't, of course, give my 100%. Some people are able to do that. I'm not. So let's say that I need a bit of pressure to be able to perform. But when I do need to perform, I really do it. So I definitely step up my game. But again, the point that I want to make is that sometimes we always feel like, we should focus, let's say, on our backstory to understand what we did, how we did to get where we are, and that it's a shame that the other people can't know about it. But that's the beauty, when you are actually being recognized for something that you worked for, something that you struggled for. And let's say, as I did for Casey with his YouTube career, as it was for this DJ for his music career, once you are able to be recognized for the thing that you have sacrificed everything for, and not be, let's say, respected out of pity because, you struggled when you were younger, or you had a problem, let's say, before reaching your peak. I think this is something that all of us should strive to achieve, because it's, even though it's a bit selfish and, it's not necessarily the most, let's say, ethical thing to say, but it is good to have validation for the things that you have worked for and not be respected just because you struggled. Because again, I do believe that, let's say, facts talk better than words. And let's say having just a sad story and, being the one that made it shouldn't define who you are. And you should be defined by what you're able to achieve and what you show to the world. And I am always fascinated, though, to learn that more often than not, and again, this is something that I also see for myself, the people that are most likable, that you are able to understand how much passion there is behind what they do, and are able also to transfer that kind of love for the thing that they are doing to you, usually come from a background where they had to sacrifice a lot and they really pursued that thing in order to be able to let you experience it at that quality and at that level. So let's say if you see somebody, let's say, that is doing good, if you have the chance, try to understand what led them there, to be able to understand them better. But once you do, let's say, don't change your perspective, don't label them as the guy that struggled, or the person that, let's say, barely made it, or that was, let's say, sacrificed a lot to be where he is. But again, continue to, let's say, praise them for the achievements that they have reached. And again, not for let's say, the bad things that happened to them in the past. I will close with let's say, more, let's say, recent news that I've heard when I was talking about Sanremo. During the second day, there was this lady that is a world-renowned top model, and let's say she insisted on being, let's say, labeled and presented as a model, and not as somebody that fought cancer or that was ill, since, again, recently she had that going for her. And again, it's it kind of hit me how the moment that, again, you have the chance that somebody out of your, let's say, out of the people that have the chance to label you for something that is not your achievements, but let's say something that justifies, let's say, a bit more to them why you are so good at what you do, they always take that chance, and it's something that I never understood. And again, I mean, as I said before, I think that you should understand it and take it home, to, let's say, learn more about the person that, let's say, you're appreciating, but you shouldn't, let's say, use that as the adjective that defines them, because I do truly believe that is fully diminishing in their regards, and I don't think it's appropriate. But again, it's simply my take. Having said that, thank you very much for listening to episode 46 of the Shower Podcast, and see you at the next one.